Call to order at 5:03 p.m. Can we do introductions, because I know Mr. Baker is on Zoom today.
Yeah, I'm in a private home in Sun City, Florida. Did you hear that?
Yes.
Yep, and you're alone, right?
You're very lucky.
Yeah, you're
Yes.
looking pretty good there, Jimmy. We're a little jealous, bud.
Well, it's taken 75 years to get here, so
Well, congratulations.
Enjoy.
thank you.
Hey, Dr. Kemet, how's it going? Not bad. Yeah.
So we would like to review the minutes of 11/2/22.
Motion to approve.
Second,
Any discussion?
No.
All in favor, roll call vote.
yes.
Yes.
Heather, yes. Okay. So we have 6 policies to review. We are gonna table JLCF wellness. So we're gonna start with DJE bidding requirements for final wording, title other recommended.
Jim, I asked Matt to be here just in case you had questions about it.
Yeah, no, I'm very happy with the changes.
Okay.
Any other discussion?
So, I'm sorry, I didn't have time to go back. Am I reading it wrong? But, and I know Matt, you replied back to me. What it fixed the $20,000 where it said 20. Is that right? Because I kept reading it over and over again. I'm like, wait, it said in excess of 20,000 or under 20,000.
Oh, it says, 20,000 or more.
Oh.
So it's $20,000 or
Okay.
more.
I guess I read it. I kept looking.
Yeah.
I'm like,
So
I don't-
19,999 is below.
Is below.
And all purchases less or not competitively bid will be based when possible at least 3 competitive price quotes.
Yes.
Okay.
Any
I
other
don't know why I
discussion?
couldn't figure that
I'll move to approve.
For first and second read or first read?
What do you need, Matt? Do you need it to go to just first read and then second read? Is it?
There's no rush.
No rush, okay, so we don't, I'm the only
It's
one.
not.
on that.
Okay.
So we'll do first, we'll approve, we'll send it to the board and then they'll follow the normal process of first read and then at a second meeting, the second read.
Okay, so a
Yeah.
motion for first read.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. No further discussion? All in favor, Jim?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Heather, yes.
You're all set with me?
We're all set with you, you can go play with Jamie now.
Okay, all right.
IHBAA evaluation requirements for children with specific learning disabilities. Follow up on questions of evaluators used.
I had Troy come because he had some pretty strong feelings and he was aware of this, so I just wanted him to speak to it as our new director of special ed.
Okay.
Welcome.
Thank you. So I looked at the the policies and the questions that were there. So there's a crossover when you start talking about who can evaluate in what state. Nobody who's not licensed in a state can evaluate in that state. Example is if I have a kid who resides in New Hampshire, goes to a placement in Mass, and I want them tested there at the placement, I have to use a Mass certified person. Because it's where the person is practicing it. So if I send a kid to Mass to get tested at Boston Children, that's okay. Because they're in Mass, they're certified in Mass. I couldn't send one of our psychs to Massachusetts unless they were certified in Massachusetts. to
Okay.
test.
That makes sense.
That, no matter what we write for a policy, that's the rules.
So my question was, so let's say, for example, I want to do an outside neuropsych on one of my children and I go to somewhere in Massachusetts, but then I present that to the school and the school accepts that testing. Is that still?
That, we can accept that.
Okay, because in the way that the policy was written is the testing that is presented has to be someone in New Hampshire where kids are coming from just different.
Or licensed.
The intent of that was if they're being evaluated in New Hampshire.
For
The
for the
intent
district.
was,
Okay,
because so the states control education, so everything they write is around what's happening in the state.
okay,
Outside neuropsychs, like outside medical evaluations, we can consider anything. It happens when a kid moves from one state to
Yeah.
another. We don't, well, you just had a neuropsych done, we have to do a new one. No, you just had it done.
okay, all right.
We don't have to, there's no balance that. There was something in there about had to border, like bordering pieces.
Mhm.
My advice to that is I wouldn't, because the reason I say that is, I'll give you an example. If I had a student who had an SLD but also had a TBI, right, for vision and things like that. There's some vision schools that are in Connecticut only.
Yeah.
They don't border. So I have to take it out of the place, it would probably be the best place to have them assessed, just to make them border the state.
Mhm.
It doesn't really serve a purpose
Okay,
for that. That I could find. I've never had to worry about it, the border.
So your recommendation is to leave the policy as written by NHSBA?
Yes.
okay.
Yep, and
I'm fine with that.
it's Troy has to handle it, so
Yeah,
I support him.
Because what I'm thinking is we have kids, especially under McKinney-Vento, that are coming from all the time and have testing from other states, and just want to make sure we can still accept it. I get it, if we as the school district are going through the process and saying the evaluator needs to, it's for, then the evaluator obviously needs to be licensed in New Hampshire. But I still want to make sure that we can still collect outside documents.
And that we can do.
Okay,
As long as now, if a person said, I went to Mass, I had this done, and they give us the credential, and this person who's only licensed in Vermont,
yeah, that's.
you're not a licensed person in that state. Technically, that's the rule of you didn't use a licensed person in the state.
Okay,
That you're not gonna find in special ed, you're gonna find that in the credentialing rules, which is separate from special ed,
Oh.
but referenced in the special ed rules that say you have to look at it, that line that they have it, you have to refer to the state guidelines. Those, that's a catch-all because there's different guidelines. Not everything is encompassed in IDA. A lot of it's a crossover into credentialing laws and other pieces like that. So
all right.
that's how they catch it.
All right, well, that, I mean, we approved this for first read already at the board meeting, just with the question on the evaluator. So I'm comfortable moving it for second read, if others are.
And if everyone ever
I think it's
wants
on the
to
agenda for
question,
tonight.
if you ever want to go into it, the rules actually do specify like who can do what type of testing.
Mhm.
Like there's a chart on like page 66, I think. It does list, like you want academic testing, it gives you a list of all the credentials that a person who can do that must have. One of those credentials has to be present. If the person doesn't have it, it's not valid. So,
Great. Jim, you good?
Yes,
I'll make a motion to move IHBAA to second read.
I'll second.
Jim,
Did
all in favor?
did you motion?
Yes.
Okay, I'll second.
No more a second, I just need you to approve.
Oh, approve, sure.
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Thanks, Troy. That's all I needed. I don't think Troy needs to come to the board meeting because he spoke here and you guys can just say,
Yeah.
Troy explained it at the meeting and if any board member wants more explanation, they could just give him a call.
That's
And
fine.
I'll check in with Dawn. I don't want you don't have to stay.
oh, okay.
You got enough to do, Troy.
We'll let you know that computer is probably gonna need to be updated or it's gonna start to glitch, that little red dot.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah, when Zoom will and Google Meet will start to fail.
Okay,
First
all right,
time.
I'll let Glenn know when he zips by. Thanks for the heads up. Nice job catching that.
So the next is JJJ, access to public school programs by non-public charter school and home educated pupils. This is a priority new.
So I would recommend, I looked over the next three, I think it's three, right?
They're all related.
Yeah, I recommend that you move them as a group with the NHSBA language.
I would like to move, I'm comfortable moving the first two, but I do have a question about JLCB.
Sure, you can move all three and then discuss and ask the question about the third one. Or you can do it in batches. It doesn't matter to me.
Okay.
But
Well, JJ and JJ are connected.
yeah, let's just do those two.
Okay.
Yep, that's cool.
So I would like to discuss JJJ and JJJR.
I have,
What do I have to prove that?
I have some comments about JJJ.
Okay,
So these are for students that are not enrolled at Sanborn, correct?
But they're residents of Sanborn.
Right. But if they're not enrolled, then we don't get state or federal reimbursements for them attending, is that correct?
That's correct.
So this, to me, is an unfunded mandate. And I'm just wondering, yeah, if we shouldn't be entitled to some sort of equivalent pay to what we would receive from the state and the federal government, some sort of tuition.
I think that that is a way bigger conversation than the policy's purpose is to make sure that the district is compliant with the law. The funding mechanism would be a legislative issue that the board would have to take up with the Department of Education about the way the funding system is done. We can't deny those kids access. So I'll give you an example, Jim. You could be homeschooled and you could say, I want to come in for biology, or let's just say biology my sophomore year, because we don't have the equipment at home to do biology. Right? You have the right, because you're a citizen, to come in for just biology.
Yeah, I
And then-
understood all of that.
Yeah, we
As it
can't,
was- as it was described, and I don't disagree with that.
yeah,
I just don't think that it should be an unfunded mandate. And what I guess my question was, is there something that says we can't charge something?
yeah, you can't charge them because they pay taxes and live in the community.
Okay,
You can't do that. What you could do is get active as a school board with the legislative process to work with the state around the funding model.
This is a larger issue, Jim, I agree.
It's a bigger issue than the policy, Jim. I agree with what
so
you're
get in
saying.
touch with the state reps and go that route.
Yes, that's the route for this.
Because
Right.
especially with the new charter schools that they're looking to open, a lot of the money from our district will be going to them.
So
I don't have
so
a
what
problem with that either. If they're not coming here, then the money should go where they're going. I have a problem with them coming here on the backs of it, and the state and the federal government not covering what they would for somebody else who's enrolled here.
But this policy includes charter schools, so if we have kids that go to the local charter schools and want to play sports or do other things, they would still be entitled to.
And they aren't, these are policies that are designed to protect the district from litigation because we have to be compliant with the law. The question that you're asking is a legitimate question, but it's a function of the funding model from the state, not whether or not the district is compliant with the law through the policy. So what I'm saying is, I completely agree with you, Jim. This just isn't the spot that you could put it.
And historically, there's only one or two kids that have really ever been homeschooled that really take advantage of this, right?
It's not a lot of people right now.
Small, like, we wouldn't be losing money, so to speak, right? Like, because it would be part of something that we already have.
It is exactly that. It's a part of what it is that the kids have a right to attend school full time, but they legally have the right to participate in extracurricular activities. So like my wife, when she was a band teacher, it's similar in Maine. The kids could come to school for band because they couldn't do band at home. You couldn't have 100 kids performing in the band. So the kid would come to school for just band, and they had a right to do that and could do that. And Jim's point is, well, we should get some money for that. I'm not disagreeing with him. They're just two separate issues.
I got it.
Like, the policy can't address the money part. That's a funding mechanism issue.
Well, that's what I wanted to be clear about. And
I'm
you've
glad you
cleared it up.
asked.
You've cleared that up.
Thanks, Jim. That's a great
I
question.
don't think it's fair, but it is what it is.
Thank you.
Any other questions on JJJ or JJJR?
No, I mean, it's really the same thing.
Yeah, they read very similar. Would we like to move this for first read?
Moving it to first read.
Okay.
Motion.
Moore made a
Second,
motion. Yeah, thanks.
Any further discussion? Jim?
yes.
Or
Yes.
yes.
Thank you. So there are two more, and you could group them because they're immunization and medical treatment,
Okay,
or we could take them separately.
I'd like to take them separately. please.
Okay, great. So
Um,
let's do ALCB.
So my question is, have the nurses reviewed this yet?
Nope.
Because I want to make sure that nothing has changed with the immunization requirements.
So the immunization requirement policy is a legal update. What we would normally do is adopt it and then share it with the nurses because they have to put it into practice. They can have input to policy, but they can't change the legal components, right?
Well, I guess my question is, have there been any new immunizations added to this?
Well, isn't the immunization go by the link to the state?
Yeah, it's all about the state, and if you read the policy, it's about the records, the exemptions for religious. There are, the required immunizations are RSA 141-C:20C, so it doesn't list them.
Okay.
It follows the law.
Okay.
So all this is doing, again, is protecting us from not being compliant with the law. The nurses have to go and check regularly to make sure that their immunization records are congruent with this.
Okay.
Happy to have them take a look at it, but they can't really suggest a change. Because it's a, so like with wellness, Heather, I wanted Bob to read that because that's not his law. This is more locked in law.
Okay.
Like it's just, it's a checkbox.
Any other discussion on JLCB?
Not for me.
Move a motion for first read?
Second,
Yes, I make it.
yes,
Yes.
Yeah, it's doing fine.
JLCBA, parental consent to medical treatment.
So the purpose of this policy was, that for kids to receive medical treatment, there should be parental consent. In general, this is a pretty standard policy.
Yeah.
I certainly, as a parent, don't want people giving my kids medication without my consent, so it's just updating and making sure that it's congruent with law again.
Yeah, I had no concern.
Okay.
Any other discussion?
nope. I'm wholeheartedly in support of that.
Make a motion for first read?
Sure, motion for first read.
Actually, can I just clarify? You guys can just motion to send it to the board because they do first and second read. It doesn't come back to
Oh.
policy always for second read,
Oh,
but we did with Troy because we had that one funky
okay,
thing with
so
the,
make a motion
to
to the
move
board.
it to the board. Yeah, just that way it's clear in the minutes in the future.
Okay, I'll second that.
Thought we had to do first.
You
Okay.
don't.
Any discussion?
No.
Jim?
Nope, I'm all set.
So yes, okay.
Yes.
All right, and then wellness, we moved to, have Dr. Dawson read. So our next meeting will be 2/8/23, and we are adjourned at
I think you and Dr. Dawson should collaborate on that one on purpose. Because we want that to be.
So anything else before we adjourn?
Happy New Year.